Hello. Welcome to the Xirtus.
Synctank.
Guys, you know that Korean dictator who he's like a dictator who loves to make movies, Like I think it's Kim Jong-il, to produce his own films. Well, there's another dictator producing films now, and his name is Obama. Michael Obama. Just kidding. So President Obama's involvement with Leave the World Behind. Did you guys see this movie already?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
No, I didn't see it. I remember everybody going crazy about it.
It's Red Dawn for autistic Snapchatters, basically. It's like the Zoomer version. Oh, man. And Noah did make it. Noah, I was just thinking about you, like Bill Murray in Space Jam, where like they just need another player. They need another player. And then Bill Murray's there.
I can't believe you guys asked me to come on here. It's a gloomy, rainy day, and I was just about to start getting higgy with it.
Aw, I'm sorry for taking that away from you. We were talking about, speaking of gloomy and rainy days, Obama's making movies. And so this is a couple years now back, but I've been watching a bunch of dystopia. And this is like I said, like Red Dawn for Zoomers. It's this whole idea that, the BRICS economy hackers, Iranians and North Koreans, or who knows exactly, it could just be like misinformation by the people that are doing this, or setting up a coup d'etat by disconnecting all of the comm links and communications, crashing all the planes and yachts and everything.
Well,
and they all
end up hijacking. There wasn't there like a scare that happened with China right at this time, like when the movie came out, and Obama like commented on it a bunch. Like, what was the deal? Like, it felt like this was connected to a real life threat that either was real or they were pushing it right when it came out. Sorry to interrupt you, but it felt out.
No, for sure. I wonder about it. I mean, because there was all the propaganda about Iran, and then the hackers in Iran. There's all the North Korean hackers propaganda. I'm not sure what China would have had. Oh, the balloons, maybe? It was right around the time with the Chinese balloons.
There was a hacking thing that happened, and Obama himself was with China around the time when the movie came out. There's also this movie Strange Attracts White Noise, which we know happened, like that movie came out like right before the Palestine train thing. Yeah.
Chinese intelligence hacked Microsoft email accounts.
Yeah.
Hackers breached F5 networks for months, and US, UK issue warnings. Hackers infiltrated the F5.
Isn't Left Behind or not Left Behind? I'm not calling it the Christian miniseries name, but Leave the World Behind isn't that the whole premise of the movie? Is what, at least like, it's still somewhat speculative, like they don't spell everything out completely, but the idea was we were hacked. It was a hack attack from another country on the United States, isn't that?
Yeah, likely another country. It's not super clear exactly if it is another country, if they're just pretending to be, because they could just act like that.
It felt like fear porn that Obama wanted to influence. Like it felt like
absolutely.
I felt like he was hacking us by putting this out there and scaring the shit out of people.
Totally.
I mean, this was a book that was a best-selling book before the movie, but
so
still.
Already written by deep state actors, probably. I mean, the whole thing comes off as.
Do you want the release info? Because I got a good little thing. I mean, it came out on November 22nd, so 23. So that makes it the 60th anniversary of JFK. 60 years after JFK. And then I went from that day to the Trump 47 inauguration, and it's 60 weeks and 6 days. So it's like 60 years, 60 weeks and 6 days. There's something there to that, because especially since that inauguration was also 666 months since the moon landing. So I think I don't know what the hell to make of it, but
computer systems, that all shut down because the tankers, the planes start crashing, everything, and there's no signals. Very Skynet kind of moment. And what did Obama have to do with it? According to this article, Michelle and Barack are credited with executive production. They started Higher Ground Productions in 2018. The Obamas have also produced projects like Michael Keaton's Worth and Kevin Hart's Fatherhood. In a recent interview with Collider, Esmail explained how exactly the Obamas shaped the current version of Leave the World Behind. Because President Obama is such a movie lover, he really focused his notes on trying to cinematically portray what was in the book in a really interesting way. The book was on his reading list. It's one of his favorites. And he really wanted to do justice by the book. And this theme about mistrust and being a cautionary tale about what could happen if we don't have the community or bonds that hold us together, quote unquote, the director explained. So he really gave us notes with regards to character, empathy, and also the disaster elements. It was really across the board. And again, it was all in pursuit of making it a really good movie. I think that's pretty interesting.
Why wasn't it Friends?
And so the whole time they want to see Friends, because Friends never existed. Like Friends is a world that never really existed that people use to escape reality. And so, I mean, like it's about huge apartments of overpaid kids who do very little work in New York City. How many people do you know like that?
Yeah. No, Sex and the City is like more a reality than Friends ever was, I would say, even though it's not,
who also have a fully fleshed out social life within one apartment building.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, everyone loves each other. Like, if you ever thought you were going to be like going over to your friend's apartment in order to eat breakfast before you go to work, like Friends is the reason. Friends did that.
But isn't like Seinfeld feels more believable? Like it feels like everything feels more believable in sitcom land. At least the stuff I've
seen. Friends is like the most realistic show, but it's the American dream. It's like the 90s American dream, and it's completely separated from reality on some level.
It's funny how in the 90s it was Friends, and then in the 2000s it became The Office. So it was like then it was your friends. Now it's not your friends. These are the people.
Right. The Office was romanticizing banality and what could really happen to people. The Office is kind of like a Red Dawn in a sense too. You could totally like turn 35, not have a good job, and end up in an office somewhere. And then you look at these characters, and one of them is, they're all actors. So one of them is like you, romanticized and played by a famous actor. So you're like, well, if I had to be somebody, I could be that person. And it just really breaks up your consciousness because you're like, I'm like this or I'm like that. And I think that's what The Office was for, right? Like kind of programming you.
Seinfeld is kind of like a religious Gnostic text because it really shows you how the less morality you have and the more you don't give like a care for anyone, the better you'll do. So it's really like trapped in the materialist realm.
Huh, that's an interesting take. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia came, and I think kind of it does the exact same thing, but makes it more overtly like, no, it's these people are awful. This is awful. These are horrible people.
What show were you mentioning?
Oh, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, right. Yeah, but they're not doing so well though. It's not working for them.
They lasted for a lot longer than 10 years, though.
Why is it? You mean financially? You mean like as like for the people in Seinfeld, or what are you saying? Like, because I'm trying to process that a little bit.
In general, it's like I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, but my memory of it is it's like the more you don't care about the rules and the more you don't care about other people, it's like it works out good for you in the end. That tends to be how
I don't know. It's like, does it work out well for George? Like his fiance dies from the
yeah,
envelope.
but he wanted her to die. He wanted her to die.
Oh, I guess
That's
he
true.
did, didn't he?
Yeah, he wanted out. So it like worked great for him. And he was, and that was the whole joke of the episode was he was happy about it, but he had to keep,
right. But it has that, you know, the show Queen for a Day, where it's an old show where basically like housewives or whatever women would share their story, and whoever had the most sob story would get the greatest applause, and then they get to be queen for a day and they win a bunch of garbage, like, or not garbage, they win nice stuff. I shouldn't say garbage. They win a bunch of stuff. They'll win a trip, they'll get a car, whatever, you know. It's probably the best show, like game show that's ever existed. But like, look at the episode where George wants an apartment, and the way that he gets the apartment is by having out sobbing the story. Like to bring the board to take pity on him. So like he succeeds through the pity. Seinfeld, it's always some problem. Everybody's got some issue. They're just going on dates. That's why it's relatable to Sex and the City, right? They're both in New York, except, you know, there's a group of men with one woman, and then a group of most all women. But the point is, they're going on all these dates, and there's always some freaking problem with somebody. That's usually a small thing, but they can't look past it because they're that superficial, which all kind of built up to like their idea for the last episode where they end up in prison because they didn't. You're referencing like that end where they didn't help the person who was being robbed, and then they that's, you know, that, and then there's a new law, the Samaritan law. Yeah. But like, I don't know, I feel like I see what you're saying, but at the same time, does it really work out for them? Like, that's why actually what you said initially about the Buddhist allegory or whatever you said feels even all the more applicable, because they never actually get anywhere of true ultimate success. Maybe there's some financial success. You got, you know,
there's no ultimate fulfillment for any of them, obviously, because they are just trapped within the material realm. But they do tend to, like, you've got a successful comedian who sells a show to a network. You've got, and I remember reading an article
way back
about, true, but that's their own neuroses, right? Of nitpicking minutia, which is again them trapped in this realm and not seeing the bigger picture. And like, I remember reading an article years and years ago about George Costanza, and it's like there's an episode where he's like, I give up, I'm wearing sweatpants, I don't care, I can't get any women, blah blah blah. But they're like, he's been with way more women than the average man if you look at just what's shown in the show. So it's also like, you know,
he's not fulfilled. He's always screwing it up, and he's always worried about the girl having like weird ears or something. Like he can't be happy about a beautiful woman because he's always got a problem. And if they do something in a short term, they lie or they cheat or they steal, the whole rest of the story is about how that affects them. You know, it's a consequence thing, so that it teaches you if you really want to be self-fulfilling or self-suiting and you narcissistic or egocentric, if you want to do something that really benefits you, then you can't just screw over everybody, because that'll eventually get you. So it's in your best interest to do mitzvahs. Whether the most selfish sinner, it's in their best interest to help others for themselves.
Well, maybe the most transcendent character then is Kramer, because he really doesn't care about anything, including the money. Like he'll have grifts and stuff, but he's living a creative life.
That's why he's Cosmo.
Yeah. Right.
At some point many episodes ago, I may have brought this up before, but I have to say it because it's so applicable. But I had a ex-girlfriend that was going through, she's getting her PhD in psychology, and she had like videos that she had to watch in the process, like for like that were like, you know, special psychology type videos. And at one point she had one playing, and I was like, that's fucking Larry David. Larry David is in your video that you can only get through this school. Like, it's not like, this isn't something for the public, right? So he's doing this very candid interview about his experience and what his experience with therapy has been. And he's talking about how he'd be like he gave an example. He's like, I was standing at a stoplight to walk, and I'm just like, I caught myself just cursing out loud like a crazy person. And he said he had extreme anger issues, right? Like that weren't being addressed in a serious way. Like he's just like, going about his life. And he saw people looking at him in horror. Like he looked over and he's like, realized he was cursing out loud to himself in frustration. and then he like basically like he had a shift happen where he laughed at himself, and he hadn't done that before. He had like a moment of like, oh my God, am I crazy? And then he like laughed out loud, and then he still probably looked at him like he's crazy or whatever, but it was like he saw this thing and he was like, this is funny. And then this like set a shift in his whole life in motion, because he found that his own personal therapy was being able to not just laugh at himself, but get other people to laugh at his experience too. Because the things that he was getting frustrated over were so superficial and so ridiculous that it's written into like all the episodes that Larry David like wrote for Seinfeld. Like those are personal. Like those are his personal frustrations and ridiculous things that prior to him turning it into comedy, he was like all bent out of shape about, you know. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, most of his life seems like a stress test that he's going through. But also, if you watch the show, it seems deeply religious because it's teaching you what if you do this, what will happen. It seems like a very consequence-driven show, right?
Can you not take your ego that seriously, or not even just your ego, but like the things that you're so frustrated about or whatever? Can you laugh at it? And it feels like when you laugh, you stop thinking for a moment. You know what I mean? Like when you're laughing, you're not really thinking, and there's something.
Okay, I gotta share. You know? This is really relevant to this because this is talking about taking Seinfeld personally. This is like an instance of seeing myself in the abyss, and it came about because of There's Something About Mary, which I think we've talked about a lot before, and being John Malkovich. In There's Something About Mary, there's the guy that plays her retarded brother, Warren, the guy with the Rubik's Cube, and he's played by W. Earl Brown, and who is this kind of a favorite actor of mine because he's in Deadwood. So he's just that's just another personal association for him. But
what
anyway,
role does
he's in both. He's Dan Doherty.
That's what I thought. Oh man,
bartender guy.
Crazy.
And that's another trope that he always, because he's in Vanilla Sky too as the bartender. So he's in There's Something About Mary, playing with Rubik's Cube, and then on the other side of Kubrick's death, 237 Days, he's in Being John Malkovich as the first person to go inside Malkovich commercially.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So I start looking at W. Earl Brown's filmography. I just want to see everything he's been in because it seems so syncy. One of the things, he's in an episode of Seinfeld. And so I go watch the episode. And the episode is called The Stand-In. And Earl Brown is only in the first scene, but he sets up the whole plot. And the plot is he sees Jerry on the bus, and they have a mutual friend, and their mutual friend's name is Fulton, which is my name. And he's sick. He's in the hospital, and Brown go see Fulton. You need to cheer him up. He's sick. So the whole plot around Jerry trying to make Fulton laugh. And W. Earl Brown told him to make Fulton laugh. And I'm here in this episode because of W. Earl Brown is in other movies. Do you understand? And okay, there's more to it because it's about the title is The Stand-In. And this is actually the first episode that has what's Kramer's midget friend? His name? I can't remember his name now.
I know who you're talking.
But he's played by an actor named Danny Woodburn. Danny Woodburn is born on July 26th. He has the same birthday as Kubrick, and if you look at him in the episode, he's got the Kubrick beard, the Kubrick stare.
Oh man, he's mini-me. He's Kubrick's mini-me.
Yeah, and he says I'm 4'2" or whatever. So that's the other component of the plot, is that the K-Man is hanging out with this guy. And that ties it to Being John Malkovich too, because of the dwarf aspect of that, where the 7.5 floor, you have to be the short little guy to be
the mezzanine,
for the portal, to get through the portal.
Well, even the symbolism of a mezzanine is like significant and relatable. Yeah, but yeah, people.
Yeah. So this is also, I mean, for what it's worth, the episode where Elaine goes on the date and her date takes it out. He exposes himself, and they have this.
I never thought to do that. I'm always trying to get hurt under. It's never occurred to me that I can.
So there's lots of. So that's it basically. The stand-in, W. Earl Brown, Fulton. It's weird. Was weird.
Yeah. So we jumped from going from Friends, and I was just comparing Seinfeld to Friends, and that Friends is really like, I think you said it best, Andreas, that it really has no basis in any kind of real reality. So for her to be in the basement or wherever she was at the end, to just like with every video imaginable, she's got all of Friends, she's good. There's something really weird. Like when exactly did Leave the World Behind come out in relationship to 2020? Because it feels like what that little girl wanted was just, infinite weeks to flatten the curve or whatever. You know what I mean? Like just to be in that, like, this is okay. You could just exist in this space. If you have the comforts, it's like when you, like Madonna, like in the 2 weeks to flatten the curve, like she films herself in a bath with rose petals, and it's just like, everybody stay home. This is so the right thing to do. And you could do the virtuous thing by doing the simplest thing, not visiting grandma. It's for your own good, grandma, and just getting all the food and supplies and everything. I'm just going to stay home and do the right thing. And it's like, I don't know, it just felt like the ending of that movie was like kind of like like, isn't this what you all want, is just to exist in this, this kind of space where you have all the amenities and whatever,
Well,
I don't know.
Showing Madonna in a bathtub is what kept me in. I was like, if that's what's out there, I'm staying home. That's it.
Okay.
Leave the World Behind premiered December 8th. Well, I guess the AFI festival was October 25th, but it came out on Netflix.
Well, like I said, it's November 20th.
Of what year? Of 2019?
2023 is Leave the World Behind.
It was that recent?
Yeah, it's a more recent movie.
Oh, weird. I thought
the book is, I guess, older, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so it had a theatrical release on November 22nd, but then it was on the internet on December 8th, just to be clear.
Right, yeah. So when most people would have seen it, but Obama offered Eshmiel his thoughts on the screenplay during the entire writing. He said he had a lot of notes about the characters. I don't see exactly when the book came out.
That actually makes it the internet release date makes it 60 years and 16 days since JFK, which
also interesting.
616 is kind of like interesting.
Well, that's the code for Alex's room, right? Wasn't it 616 in Clockwork Orange?
The code.
Apparently, there's a Wikipedia section on the symbolism and subtext of Leave the World Behind. For one thing, the oil tanker is called the White Lion. I was remembering that because I was thinking Osama and Obama, right? From the hindsight is 2020, that Osama means lion and king, and the White Lion, Lion King for Obama.
Yeah. But Alan Abadessa's documentary talks a lot about that. Yeah.
Apparently, the White Lion is a reference to the ship attributed to the beginning of slavery in America, symbolizing the first arrival of African slaves to Virginia in 1619, which is weird. There's a lot of weird racial subtext in that movie about super rich black family that have to put up with this white upper middle class family that's renting the house that they own. And how people don't trust each other because of racism and whatever at the beginning of the movie, and eventually they just kind of have to trust each other. But
so the book, by the way, the book Leave the World Behind is from 2020, just so you know.
It is. Okay, all right, that's the deal. Yeah, so and then here's Eyes Wide Shut. Hartford lives in apartment 5A.
Hey, Alex, how do you rope that in with Logan Paul? Because he sort of rose to fame using a dwarf friend as well, right? Which reminds me of Kramer and this guy.
Logan Paul rose to fame on a dwarf?
Yeah, when he was doing like Vine. I remember seeing videos were like viral way back. That's where he like rose to fame, and he had a dwarf. He did videos with his dwarf friend a lot.
I didn't know that.
Well, add it into your matrix and see if you get any.
No, I will. I don't know. I haven't.
Because then you get to WWE, and I know you like doing that. So.
Yeah, well, I don't actually like WWE. I avoid them, but
yeah,
Logan Paul is an interesting character. Him and his brother.
He uses his natural heel element, like in real life, he knows he's hated, and he brings that in like a villain character, which I think is pretty neat.
But he also has like he's taken to the art like the actual in-ring aspect, like a duck to water. That makes it interesting. But like the big thing with him was was him going to Japan and stumbling on a dead body in a suicide forest or something, and then filming it, and then
live streaming it. That was very wise.
Didn't seem like a good idea. He's but I don't know. I don't have much to say about that guy.
Technically, that's like investigative journalism, like uncovering, gotta give him more credit.
I mean, I could walk down the streets of Portland and do the same thing.
Except he went into the suicide forest with like a goofy alien hat on, so it was like it was really a lot of it was.
It's pointy so that the ghosts get pierced on it's the safest structure.
Well, yeah, but it had eyeballs, so the ghost could inhabit it and actually could become possessed.
What's Station 11?
Have you not seen Station 11? So
I know the bearded men of Space Station 11 from the state.
So, dude, I don't know how I didn't see this show, but it's like a thing from 2022, I guess, 2021. So it's super COVID, and it's from a 2014 novel called Station 11. Also, Canadian writer Emily St. John Mandel. Dude, with that kind of name, she should have been the next Canadian Sinead O'Connor. I feel like that's like a indie pop star name. But she wrote Sea of Tranquility, Station 11, and Station 11 is basically about COVID. I mean, it's the most extreme version. Some little girls at a play. This like Indian guy sees a dude die on stage. He tries to take the girl home because he's worried about this like little actress girl, and the parents aren't at that home. So he's like, I can't just like leave you here. Like, I guess I can't force you to come, and people should make their own decisions. But like, the world's ending right now. I'm sorry. I got a call from somebody. And so he just goes into a supermarket, buys $10,000 worth of groceries, goes to his brother's apartment with this girl, and then they like survive when 99% of the population dies out. And it's just complete shutdown of all civilization. No one leaves their apartments for like 80 days. They're all just duct taped inside. And she sees messages. She keeps texting her parents, trying to get in touch with her parents, until finally like the hospital texts back from her parents' phone. Like, the owner of this phone's body is in the, New York City morgue. Do not come here. And she realizes like everybody's dead. Yeah.
Dude, somebody told me the most terrifying movie that I went to like a group. There's like an online group where like if you name elements of a movie, they'll try and help you find it. Like, what is this movie? Like, did you watch something but you don't know what it's called, but and I couldn't find it, but there's different possibilities. I'm not sure, but the premise was so scary. And this is supposed to have come out pre-COVID because somebody's telling this to me that they saw this movie in 2020 where the government news puts out like emergency broadcasts like, there is a airborne virus. Here's what you have to do if you want any hope for survival. You have to tape yourself up in your house, remove like every crevice, do this whole thing. There's all these steps, and it's like takes place with this house where everybody does everything that they're told as best as they're able. It's got a drama where people are fighting within the situation or whatever. They go through this giant ordeal, and then at the end of the movie, the like military shows up, and they're like looking at the area, and everybody's dead everywhere, right? And they're like, "You people are still alive?" Like, they find them there. They're like, "How did you survive?" And then like they tell them, they're like, "Well, we did what you said. We did the thing," and then they take them out front and they shoot them all. Because they weren't supposed to survive. No one was supposed to survive because the whole thing was planned to kill. That was from the government to kill everybody. And so I was like, what is that movie? So if anybody listening knows that movie, please let me know. I guess there's another storyline beyond that space that's like different people doing different things in the world. But like, this is like the main story is like what's happening in that space, so it's part of it. But yeah,
are you able to hook me up with that group? Because I heard about something in a movie that I need to find.
This is just I don't use Facebook like I used to ever since they booted me and I came back, but it's some Facebook group that's like called something like what's that movie or something, or what's that show, I don't know, but yeah. But yeah, they were really helpful. But it was so many different things, and they're like, I think it's probably this, I think it's probably this, and I never got to the bottom of it. But yeah,
because it's funny, I was about to go visit my grandma, and then you brought up, oh, it's just easier to not go visit your grandma. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Right.
But I had this idea once where it's like when you're with someone who's senile, if you're a stand-up comedian, you could keep telling your joke to the same person and it's new every time. And so you could refine this joke, right? You could use it as like an immediate audience. Every couple minutes you tell it again and tweak it and see where you get the best response.
I feel like what you just said has the potential to be one of those jokes. Like the way you just said it wasn't funny, really, but it could be, and it has that potential. And you need somebody with senility to be able to,
work it out, to refine it. And they don't know they're senile, so you're not insulting them. It's great. But I actually told this idea to someone. They're like, yeah, I saw that in a movie. Someone did that. I'm like, oh, great. I don't have to do it. But now I can't find that movie. So if anyone knows what I'm talking about, let me know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, here's something also Alex pulled up.
Oh, yeah, this is just, continuing this thing. Mickey is the name of the Kubrick character, making it Mickey Mouse sort of deal. What I wanted to point out, if you click, is actually the dialogue there, which is kind of creepy when he says, yeah, Mickey hooked me up. We're stand-ins for actors on All My Children. Mickey, he's a stand-in for an 8-year-old kid, and I stand in for the kid's father. But I got a big problem. The kid I stand in for, he's growing. He was 4 feet last month. Now he's like 4'2.5". He shot up 2.5 inches. I can do 4'2", 4'3" as a stretch. Any higher than that, I'm going to be out my ass doing that paralegal clap. How do you stop a kid from growing? I told you should offer him some cigarettes. So how do you stop a kid from growing? And this is just not to, this is just like the Malkovich synchronistic deep background. Like, I don't think Larry David or Seinfeld had any intent on making these connections, but these connections are there nonetheless.
So if we're going to, okay.
What that reminds me of quickly, is the theory that AI, the reason they were going to make the kids never grow was for pedos. Like, I don't know if you read anything.
Oh, the Widener thing.
Yeah, right. Well, that reminds me of that. How do you stop a kid from growing if we're putting it in
well, it kind of, it's Peter Pan, right? It's the
right
Alien Earth,
which is really that he killed the kids. We've discussed this, but yeah, and they indicated in the original book that that's what's the deal, and that Captain Hook was one of the Lost Boys who escaped, and now he's going to fight Peter Pan because he's all grown up, and he's like that freaking guy trying to kill all the kids and not let them get it, But the John Malkovich thing. So like whenever we talk about like the relationship of like the significance of like John Malkovich comes out 237 days after Kubrick's death, even like the meaning, because it's a room, right? Like you enter Malkovich through this room, so like you have the 237 indication, but like
through a portal.
So John Malkovich, he's Heart of Darkness. So if you've ever seen the movie that's like, because what is it? Apocalypse Now is Vietnam. It's not a Heart of Darkness, Joseph Conrad's book necessarily. It's like it is inspired by his book, obviously. It's an adaptation that uses Vietnam as the template to recreate Joseph Conrad's book. But the movie that's actually verbatim Joseph Conrad's book, which the same thing happened with The Shining, which is just awful because in that case it's just like a mini series or whatever it was with that guy from Wings or whatever, and then Tony's like an actual character. Is just so I do not care for that version of The Shining, but they did the same thing, and they did a pretty damn good job with Heart of Darkness, which stars John Malkovich as what's the Marlon Brando's character, Colonel Kurt. Yeah, but the Martin Sheen's character, who's on his way to kill him, right? I believe that's who John Malkovich's part is. But it's called Heart of Darkness.
Call Heart of Darkness. I
So you know that like in Apocalypse Now, they show you like from Ritual to Romance on the table of Colonel Kurtz and the Golden Bough, right? And you know that it's the ritualistic killing of the king is obviously being, that's why the end plays, because that's what that song's freaking about, you know, like, so like, and it's amazing that they're even able to use the Doors song for a film at that time, you know. But anyway, because of the significance of it, it's like, dude, this would have been approved, you know, like in the one of those rare examples, because it's like, this is what it is. But I'm just saying, like, to me, Kubrick's obsession with the Golden Bough like connects obviously with you know, John Malkovich in Heart of Darkness, like in this really weird, you know, like, yeah, there's something going on there. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, kind of psychedelic leapfrog, but it's all there.
Really, but I didn't know about Heart of Darkness, and so that's Nick Rogue directed a TV movie, Heart of Darkness, with Tim Roth as Marlowe and Malkovich as Kurtz. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah,
but Heart of Darkness also shows up in King Kong.
Which version?
No, like the original. Like, it's really clunky and stupid, but it they show them reading
the 1936 or something. Is that what is it?
Huh?
It was in 1936. Is that what?
Book?
King Kong? No.
No. I'm talking about the Peter Jackson one. The Peter Jackson.
The movie's 1933, by the way.
Yeah,
33. Thank you.
2005 or whatever.
2005 is Peter Jackson's.
Is all they take from Heart of Darkness in that. And
where? How so? I'm curious.
Well, I honestly can't remember that well, but like they're on the island in the with like all the cannibals, and they're like going down the river, and it's like I said, it's very on the nose, and like there's literally like reading a copy of Heart of Darkness. And
the Golden Bough can be applied in many ways to 9/11 if you're entertaining the idea of it as a mega ritual, right? So like, even like, I would say that Philip Petit, if I'm pronouncing that right, but the guy who walked along the wire, like he's doing the equivalent of pulling that limb from the Golden Bough in order to challenge the king, because by him doing that and walking back and forth, if you're applying it to the Tree of Life and saying that this is a replication in the material world of the Tree of Life, him walking along the two pillars of the terrestrial as if that was between Gavor and Chesed is very resonant with the idea that this is a limb on the sacred tree at Nemi. And so it's like the precursor, like by him doing that, you know that these towers will be destroyed, in the same way that when that outsider pulls the limb to challenge the king, which is symbolic of both the king's phallus and the king's daughter, and he's going to marry the daughter once the king is killed, you know, it's very resonant. So in King Kong in 1976, you had that, you know, I don't know if you remember, but like, if you've seen it, like when King Kong shows up in New York, they have he's underneath a giant petrol, like a gas pump, and like because they're going to this island to get the fuel. So the island becomes like, if you were to like apply it as like kind of an allegory for what happened in following 2001, is we use that as a kind of excuse to go attack Iraq. And so for, you know, and the connection to oil, you know, and so like he's associated with oil, and then he dies he falls off the two towers. And so yeah, and then there's the whole ABBA thing, because ABBA came out with Arrival in 1976. If you play Arrival, the album, with the film King Kong from 1976, it'll make exactly 4 rounds to the second if you start the album the second that the movie starts. So, which encourages you to like watch it with 4 screens, you know what I mean? But the cover of that album is them in the helicopter, and King Kong in that version gets killed by helicopters rather than planes. So like it, and when you start the album in that way, the first time that the song Arrival plays on the album Arrival is like right when they set foot on the island, and it's an instrumental, and it's almost like that's like the part that's really like a music video. It's ridiculous. It's like when Arrival plays when they arrive at the island. But anyway, and Rand, yeah,
excellent. Yeah, I thought that it's interesting how racism played into King Kong. Obviously, it's like a major thing.
Yeah. Since we're talking about this, I'm going to drop another link here concerning Jack Black.
Anaconda.
Anaconda. What?
You know the new movie he's making? He's making Anaconda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Seth Rogen, right?
I think so.
Wait, they're redoing Anaconda?
Oh,
it's a
God.
sequel where
Sort of.
they're a sequel about remaking it. It's like a meta thing.
Oh, really?
It's like, they want to make Anaconda because they loved Anaconda so much. So they go out to the woods to, it's isn't it Paul Rudd actually or whatever, you know?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go make Anaconda. They like borrow some money from the bank and then they go out to shoot Anaconda. But they need a real anaconda, so then they end up in a fight with an anaconda, just like in the movie. Like the movie becomes reality. Like their dream is to emulate the movie, but then they end up emulating the movie too perfectly.
And Christmas on Boxing Day,
it becomes real.
That's intentional, I'm sure.
Yeah. Let's see here. And where'd that? He just sent me the link here. I'll open it again.
So this is really a remake of that. I forget the name of it, where Tom Cruise plays an older executive, and they make a war movie. They wind up in the war. What's that movie called?
Tropic Thunder, but that's not Tom Cruise.
That's what I mean. It's a remake of Tropic Thunder.
Oh no, that is Tom Cruise is in there. I forgot because he's got the prosthetics. Yeah, okay.
Totally. Oh, racist. It's crazy.
This was like, okay, so it was Judith Love Cohen is Jack Black's mother who worked on the Apollo program.
Yeah.
Her midpoint, 2375. It's the day that this guy Eli Black jumps out of the 44th floor of his office building, and his son Leon Black would co-found Apollo Global Management, which is like one of the biggest hedge funds in the world. The Apollo connection, 237 linking it, and that guy, if the follow-up tweet there, it's from today. This guy or Leon Black is in the Epstein files. Today, or being connected to Epstein.
And Leon Black, that's the character in Curb Your Enthusiasm too. If we're going to talk about Seinfeld.
What? Wait, Leon Black? What?
Yeah.
It's like a character name, or what are you saying him?
Yeah, well, because we were talking about Seinfeld, Leon Black.
Yeah, no, tell me more about that. Why, wait, who, what, when?
His name's Leon Black.
Leon.
Oh, his guest is okay.
Right.
All right, his friend. Yeah, all right.
Right.
Totally. Right, because they're the Blacks, right? That's like the thing. Okay, cool. Fuck, man.
Interesting.
This
Apollo
and the Judith Cohen black and white is a trope. Like we have Jack Black and we have Jack White. I mean, and their birthdays are actually connected too. So, but specifically, I was blown away by the Jack Black's mom's midpoint is the death day of Leon Black's dad. Suicide? Okay, I'm shut up.
No, it's interesting. I mean, seeing the Masonic checkered floors. Yeah, I was thinking a little bit about also the Conqueror, because remember we talked a bit before about the nuclear testing and how it kills some. Like there was in South Utah, North Nevada, there were hundreds of nuclear tests, and there still are hundreds of nuclear tests. And so there's a map that shows how bad it is, like for people. See the nuclear fallout zones from the, they would just launch nukes, and then kids in Utah would go out and camp and picnic, and they would just watch these nukes going off. And then their parents would say, all right, everybody should go inside because the AEC said it's safe, but we're not sure if it's really safe. And they have the highest cancer rates of like anywhere in the country. They have kids with testicular cancer and lymphoma and things at like 6 years old all the time. And they just assumed it was normal for like half of their friends in elementary school to die before they get to high school from all sorts of issues. And all of these farmers having all of their farms destroyed and all of the native indigenous Indians being killed and everything, all because they did this crazy nuclear testing. Right. We were saying that before. Let's see. Map America. Let's see where like the fallout. Here you go. You can see like these maps here that show like some of the worst radiation levels, right? So pretty bad on all corners. St. George is the place that's the worst. But where they shot The Conqueror, Howard Hughes' final film, right? Which is Genghis Khan played by John Wayne. I don't know if you've seen this one.
Oh God, damn it! Yeah. Okay.
So this movie's nuts, and I don't know why people hate it. Actually, I don't think it's bad. I think it's pretty much what you would expect from John Wayne trying to speak like Shakespeare. It's pretty strange, but it works. I think he did the best he could do with a weird script. But it's a pretty good movie with Susan Hayward and John Wayne.
Dude,
and
hey, I'm having a hard time with your recommendations, Andreas, lately, because I think maybe like I don't know the last time you saw this, but really question the last time you saw Happily Ever After. I could try it again. Did you watch it when you were a kid? Like it was too.
for sure.
I couldn't handle that level. Like, I mean, look at the cast though: Malcolm McDowell, all these people.
Yeah.
But last week you had referenced that movie, and I tried to watch it, and I was like, I think I watched this as a kid. I'm pretty sure, but I couldn't do it. And I'm like, did you watch it the last time you saw this? You were like 10 or something, or what?
Oh man, I must have seen it since then. Yeah, definitely a kid's movie. Don't get me wrong. Like, but Happily Ever After,
like it's ridiculous. I mean, Dom DeLuise, he can do what he does. It's cool, but yeah, it's painful.
The feminist dwarfettes and this Weird Al character that smokes all the time, and he's trying to be a bad guy, but he's not really that bad. Yeah, it's Weird Al, you know. And then there's this lady who's like Mother Nature. I don't know, man. This was the propaganda that made me. I can't tell you it was good or bad.
Okay, all right. Well, I can try it again sometime, but I went I watched like 18 minutes of it, and I was like, I can't do this. Maybe it was just my mood, but yeah, no, I'll try and revisit this.
It's got some really weird New York kind of vibes to it. I thought it was kind of, I don't know, man. It's not perfect, but I thought it was good. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but not 10. Definitely seen it since then. Probably like 10 years ago was the last time I saw it. I don't know.
Seems to have a really inconsistent art style, which sometimes can be hard to watch.
I mean, it's Lou Scheimer or whatever. It's the guy who did like He-Man, you know? It's like
It's got Malcolm McDowell, so you have to watch it for sync purposes. That's just
that's the thing. It's important. It's really, really got an amazing cast, actually, Ed Asner. All the people in this movie. It's got Zsa Zsa Gabor or something. Like, it's a pretty impressive cast. I get why no one remembers it because there's probably better movies, but
well, it's not Disney, so but it's pretending to be and it's responding to a Disney movie. So there you go. But yeah,
it was very pulp. I don't know. I thought it was cool, but yeah, I'm just saying, like, The Conqueror is a movie that normally everyone will tell you is a bad movie. I don't think anyone likes The Conqueror but me. The thing about it is, if you watch our early videos talking about Tartaria and Tartarian history, the idea that Genghis Khan was a redhead with like green eyes, like Muhammad was a redhead with green eyes probably, and that the Tartars particularly had sometimes Uyghur or Caucasian features, that Susan Hayward as this Jewish Tartarian princess is not that crazy. And the idea that Chinese Genghis Khan characters could be played by white people, it actually makes plenty of sense. It's a pre-Han Mongolia. There's a time when there are more Europeans or Caucasians.
They wanted him in Blazing Saddles, and he said he was like, not happening. But he's like, I'll be the first one to watch that movie, you know, once you guys do whatever it is that you're doing. But Mel Brooks asked John Wayne to be in Blazing Saddles, which would have been quite the shift from what it was. But yeah,
that would have worked. But no, John Wayne couldn't do a lot of things after this movie because this movie, all right, also, it's well shot. Like, lots of money was spent making The Conqueror. It's not like it was a cheap film for them to make. And they shot it on location as best they could. Rather than going to the Gobi Desert, they went to the Nevada Desert, which is your hint right there about where this is going. And then they ended up grabbing a bunch of sand because they wanted the sets back in LA to look right. So they brought back tons and tons, literally tons, thousands of tons of desert sand. And they filled the studios for months while they worked in the studios to film it back home. So basically 94 or 100 of the people on the set all died of radiation poisoning, which they then realized was because of getting the desert sand from the location, which was nuclear testing grounds. And people who died included. Yeah, it's not far. It's north of Burning Man, I guess, because it's like it's
Burning Man proper, where they actually set it up. That's not exactly where they did the nuclear testing, but it's the same lake bed. The lake bed is so huge, ancient lake bed. It goes so far that a ton of it may have been that. Do you know if it was from that lake bed?
I mean, there's just tons of nuclear testing in Nevada, and you can see like different sections of it. But because of the way the wind happened, South Utah at the north tip of Nevada, that's some of the worst testing. Here's a Nevada testing site down below. And then here's, I think St. George is just to the east of it. Let's see. St. George, Utah, right here.
Wait, it really was St. George? That's where we're saying it came from?
Yeah.
That's pretty trippy. Were we just mentioning Apollo came up earlier? Wasn't the thing that's like the symbol, it's like a that's the line, right? Of so who battles so okay, Saint George connects to Apollo symbolically because of the dragon thing, right? That they both battle dragons. Isn't there like something to that? I forget.
Yeah, I think so.
Apollo and St. George, I believe, are symbolically connected pretty directly. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Oof.
Yeah, so it's just kind of crazy how many people died because of that. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Well, it's kind of a non sequitur, but just returning back to Malkovich.
Yeah,
I think something I mentioned I never remember to mention. Being John Malkovich came out on that certain day, but there's another movie that came out on that day. Actually, several movies, but one of them is The Talented Mr. Ripley. So The Talented Mr. Ripley also
remake,
came
right?
out. Yeah, no. Well, it's a book. It's been made many times, but
it's been made many times. I thought there was another version of it before that Mr. Ripley that you're talking about, the one with Matt Damon.
It's possible. I'm not aware. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but the point is that movie actually, John Malkovich was going to direct The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Really?
Maybe even star in it. And years later, he did star in. He was Ripley in a couple of different projects, so he was directly involved in that character and franchise. And so the fact that movie also comes out on the same day as Being John Malkovich, 237 days after Kubrick's death,
right?
And which also, when you say that, it's also like it's 237 days after Kubrick's death, but it's also that many days after InfoWars was founded and Sidney Gottlieb.
Let's point out again that we can prove this.
Joe DiMaggio.
InfoWars dropped within an hour of Kubrick's death.
Something like that.
We looked at the time zones.
Right.
Like I need to actually search for that back and forth that we had about that because we established it. If you look, it's so funny. Candace Owens didn't know what UTC meant. She thought it had something to do with Utah recently. That's like one of her holes in her storyline that I thought was pretty hilarious. But that's how we got to that, was you had to look at the UTC, the actual timing, because you're talking about looking at time zones, and you're like, well, when did Kubrick really die exactly within this period? When did InfoWars technically drop on that day? It actually corresponds. And your source for that, like, you had to do some digging to get to the exact details. So that's actually, there's a treasure trove that we need to document better, because you have the screenshots to prove what you did. So yeah, that's nuts. But also, that if we're going to mention this, we have to mention Color Me Kubrick. If you're going to go there with the significance of how being John Malkovich.
Well, first of all, talk about
death, he's Color Me Kubrick. He is playing somebody playing Kubrick in Color Me Kubrick.
Kubrick. Yeah.
Well, being John Malkovich, Color Me Kubrick. Get it?
Ripley. If you don't know Ripley, that's hold on a second. If you don't know Ripley is the whole concept of Ripley is that he's like kind of a chameleon, like a social sociopath who takes on whatever identities of the character of the people he's with, or to basically achieve his own goals, and then kind of a con man of sorts.
That's his talent.
And so you gotta overlay that symbolism with it, and then Color Me Kubrick comes later, where he's playing someone like that, but pretending to be, and directed by the guy in Eyes Wide Shut, who's the tall butler.
Which
so-
butler? To the butler.
The one that like comes up to him and is like, "Your taxi is waiting, sir." The
that
tall
guy directed
comes
The
up.
Talented Mr. Ripley. That
No, he
version with
directed
Matt
Color
Damon?
Me Kubrick. He directed Color Me Kubrick.
Oh, well, that's even crazier. Okay,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I always was like with the I don't know when that book was written, but like Ripley and Alien, that it's directed by Ridley, and if you flip the D, you get Ripley, and it's always felt like that couldn't be a coincidence. You know what I mean?
Totally. I was just looking at the chart. It says Kubrick died at 4 a.m. And so you've got a Moon Mars conjunction in Scorpio, and it was culminating at 4 a.m., which is kind of interesting. If it's also aligns with, although the midheaven would be different, obviously in America, but you've got that like investigative quality of Scorpio, right? Digging deep into things in the moons and Mars. I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, there's a suicidal aspect of Scorpio. I mean, they say that the symbolism of the scorpion is attached to the fact that if you corner a scorpion, if it has no other option, it can stab itself in the back, which is interesting because there's the different, there's the different, alchemically speaking, when you apply Scorpio to the alchemical process, you have basically like 3 different versions of Scorpio, the lowest being the scorpion, which is lowest to the earth, right? And then which is the most egotistical or whatever. That's why it becomes self-destructive when it's left with no other option. Then you have what is it, the bird of prey, which is above, it's witness consciousness, but it still can attack and still be predatory. And then you have the dove, right? And the dove is just, it is witness consciousness, but it's also, it has no attacking mode. Yeah.
Because in a lot of other sources, the eagle is the highest form of Scorpio.
Right.
And
so
you see
yeah,
that in Tetragrammaton.
right. I'm just speaking generally because sometimes there's different slight, like we say
Yeah.
eagle, and can be a little misleading because when you look at the way that and also just the phoenix too, right? And that connects even to what was originally, I have a book about the symbolism of the dollar bill, where it argues that originally this eagle, which we now associate with like as the American, the bald-headed eagle, like just maybe because it's native bird or whatever, and they made, but like originally apparently that was the phoenix, like even on the dollar bill it had fire with it, like and then that became the Great Seal, right? Or part of the Great Seal on opposite the pyramid, was the eagle with the 33 all over it, so 32 and 33 respectively.
Chris Knowles argues pretty convincingly, I think, that the Great Seal is all about Lyra, which is the falling grape, right? So it's a bird of prey that's swooping down, and like the pyramid looks like Lyra. If you look at the shape and the angle that the pyramid is drawn in.
There's the argument that you're looking at a a Nubian pyramid and not an Egyptian pyramid. That if you look at the Nubian pyramids and you compare it to the 33 steps on the dollar bill, it's super weird.
Well, also the mythology of the scorpion too, of Scorpio specifically, going back to you saying it has to do with suicide, was the scorpion sent to kill Orion because this great giant was just a beast, right? Was just a hunting beast and was consumed with ego in the world and his power,
right?
That they send the scorpion, the tiniest thing, to kill him.
Right. Well, it's significant in terms of the golden bough, because the thing with the golden bough is that the king would either be killed or commit suicide, depending. So the symbolism of the suicide king actually involves, like, in certain instances, in certain places, the king would literally stab himself repeatedly in front of a crowd, and everyone would just watch him kill himself, or he gets placed in the Wicker Man and gets set on fire. The symbolism in the film Wicker Man is the same thing we see being presented at Bohemian Grove, where instead of killing the king, they're killing the one who would challenge the king. And the joke is that in the Wicker Man, which is absolutely brilliant film, is that his qualifications are supposed to be he's an escaped convict. He had to have been a criminal. But in this case, he's a police officer. Why? Because it's a statement on corruption. And then you're like, oh, but he's a Christian. And then they're like, well, Christianity, what has Christianity done as an organized religion? Like the film, The Wicker Man, is every part of that is meant to be intentionally ironic are satirical on the original ritual, right? So he gets the horror of him getting burnt alive when he's the one who would be challenging the king, who is Christopher Lee, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. Like, it's all like, that's, he gets to live in the luxury. It's all in the song Not to Touch the Earth by the Doors, by the way. That those are two chapters side by side, in the one after the other in the Golden Bough. Is Not to Touch the Earth followed by Not to See the Sun. And in that song, if you listen closely, everything he's saying is about how this ancient ritual is happening now. When he says dead president's corpse in the driver's car, the engine runs on glue and tar, come along, not going very far, to the east to meet the Tsar. It's not very far because it's happening here, to the Tsar. Tsar is the origin, it's etymologically connected to Caesar, right? Tsar and Caesar come from the same thing. It's interesting that there's, tying back to the atomic thing, there's the Tsar bomb, which is the biggest nuclear bomb that's ever been, exploded on the planet, If I was ever to get a poster of a nuclear bomb going off, I'd want the Tsar bomb, because it's like, holy shit.
Well, also you're talking about the king stabbing himself, and the moon is body, and Mars is stabbing and knives, right? So that Mars, like, it's exact at 4 a.m. I said it for London. I can't remember exactly where he was, but it'd be the same time zone. Like, exact conjunction, moon, Mars.
Diana's death is totally connected, because it was the Lake of Nemi is literally translates where the Golden Bough ritual was performed, where he pulls the limb at that lake is called Diana's Mirror. And so, like, for Diana to get killed with the paparazzi in that underpass, like, through that tunnel, like, it's crazy. It's also, that was France, by the way, and which is interesting. I just was looking at this, that they put that memorial for Princess Diana above the underpass. It is, first of all, the 5-petaled flower that's connected to Rosicrucianism that you see in the Rider-Waite deck on the Death card, the 13th Arcana, which was originally in the Marseille Tarot, the only unnamed Arcana of the 22. You have that, the Death has that flag with that exact Rosicrucian symbol. They have that above, pressed into the overpass where Diana died as a memorial, and they have the hand of Liberty holding the flame that looks exactly like what we see at the Statue of Liberty, which was a gift from France, So, and France has their own version. If you ever watch that Polanski film with Harrison Ford, Frantic, where he's looking at he wakes up, he opens his eyes, and he's looking at the Statue of Liberty, but it's the French version, but it's upside down, and then he turns his head and it's right side up. It's like a whole statement on him being exiled from the US or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Liberty upside down.
I feel, Alex, you were onto something, I think, before you froze, eh?
Oh, what was I on? I don't think I froze, but I had a text. I had to deal with something.
Okay.
But maybe I literally froze. I guess I was gonna say, oh yeah, Ron in the chat was saying, he said Alex Jones was not born in 1974, and I think it's interesting. Well, the point that I was going to get to is that actually, when you compare Alex Jones' birth to the day that InfoWars was born / Kubrick was died, it's interesting because he was actually 888 weeks old, which is 1/2 of 1776, and that puts it in my little algorithm zone. So I have this entire map with those things, and but one of the most amazing things is that if you double it and you go 888 weeks before Alex Jones, it is the birth of Andy Kaufman. So I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I'm totally fucking this up. It's not 888.
It's a lot to keep track of.
What it is 1308 weeks, and it's just as significant. It's just all on the same map. So here's Kubrick's death. God dang it! I just
1999.
But it's they're on the same map, and it is a midpoint between Andy Kaufman's birth, Alex Jones' birth, and InfoWars.
What's the event at the midpoint?
So Alex Jones is the midpoint between the birth of Andy Kaufman and the birth of InfoWars.
Alex Jones's death. Birth. Alex Jones isn't dead.
Yeah.
Wait. What?
Alex Jones' fake birth is the midpoint between InfoWars and Andy Kaufman's birth. You get me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
think
haven't looked at this in a while, but I remember when I first heard about the Bill Hicks as Alex Jones theory and going down that rabbit hole. And it's funny because we don't have a time for Alex Jones. I've tried to tweet him, he won't respond to me. But he's apparently an Aquarius sun, right? Which makes some sense. I mean, collating facts and having conspiracy theories and everything is Aquarian. But he's so fiery. Like he's such a like Bill Hicks is a Sagittarius sun. And if you look at the rest of Bill Hicks's chart, it does match Alex Jones. Like it seems like you could see that being him. I don't know. Who knows?
There's a book that needs to exist, Alex, and it's every one of those images that I think you could do this nowadays, and you could probably sell it through Amazon despite copyright issues. I think there's workarounds where all those images that you've put together that show the midpoints and all of this stuff, you have that, and then you have a page of explanation. Just the whole book is just here. Let me explain this to you. But the value of that book really is more of encyclopedic. Not this is just something that you go through, but like as a reference guide. So
Sure,
every one of those movie titles, names of people, everything, it's in you have in the back as a glossary index. You can go through.
Kind of like a Crypto K777, like
this needs to happen. Like if I had that as a reference guide for the kind of stuff we're doing, and so many of us, like as to the research community on this level of synchronicity, high weirdness, like that should all just be like, we have this book to go to look up the name of whatever film or whatever is being referenced, be like, oh, doesn't this I remember this shows up in here, where is it? And it gives you all the page numbers where this comes up, and you go, and then you have an explanation and your image that kind of consolidates it, so you don't even have to always look at the explanation if you're using this as a reference guide, because you're just like, oh, here it is laid out. Like I want that. Like, and that would be helpful even for you having these fucking conversations. You could just flip the thing open and you wouldn't have to like keep track of all of this stuff. Like
yeah,
you have a book in your head.
I wish I could show you like these things that I've been working on. Noah's seen it. Like I actually constructed one of these for him based on his birthday, and it's like a kind of very large array of dates that are spun out of his birthday with my algorithm. And it's kind of shocking what you can find when you do this. And
it's baffling to look at, though. Like we still have to set a time and go over it, because what I could piece together, I could like there were deep resonances with my own life from past dates that he pinpointed. And
I have no idea if that's the thing. That's the unexplored territory. Like I can find all these movies that come out and these things that happen, but like actually personally, how are you personally related? That's something that we really need to explore.
Yeah, I want to take time with you, and like you were saying, maybe do a podcast on it. But I want to have the conversation first, because when it's massive. So to do it in a book, like you'd have to have like this giant coffee table book to really be able to see everything.
That's sort of a different. I don't know. Yeah, like he's talking about all those things I did on Twitter, like those more simple kind of graphs.
It's like always the same format. It's gray. The midpoint, you have this all laid out and all of this information, and then the explanation would be just a paragraph or two on the opposite page. It just goes along with it. Like this needs to happen. I'm putting that out there.
No, it's something good working. I mean, I'm working on. I got a bunch of different like irons in the fire in terms of like writing projects.
You don't need a publishing house to do it nowadays. There was a time where you had to get around that and work it that way. But there's people that are doing like they're just putting books together where they're not even what you're doing. They're just taking images and giving like just a bunch of bullshit. And then I've seen them do it, and they just do that. And then you're paying into Amazon, but you're making profit, and it's this whole, and they're just printing them as needed, as they're ordered. They're not like, it used to be like you publish a book and then you like get a bunch of copies of that book to sell those copies. Like it doesn't exist that way. It's printed as they're ordered. So let's please make that happen.
Separate to that, which needs to happen, that book needs to happen, is also like, I think Alex could be selling almost like a natal chart reading, doing these matrices for people, because there's interpretive information there when you dig into it and you look at what movie is connected to this date. You're like, oh yeah, this relates to what was happening for me. It's fascinating. But then also, I believe that each of the crypto case seals has its own character too. That number has it relates to specific kinds of events, which I think is another territory that's not fully explored yet.
Eric Bassett in the comments says, would a website database work the same? Yeah. But I like the idea of having a physical copy.
Always.
Very much.
Cool.
You know, I want it. I want that copy. That's why I'm asking for it. But yeah, you could have a database to make it work the same way. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this is all where in my head and where I'm sort of working towards it. Crypto. There's a book. Lauren Coleman wrote a book back in the day called Cryptozoology or Cryptozoology A to Z.
Yeah.
And that was another idea I wanted to do, like Cryptokubrology A to Z, and somehow that could be the encyclopedia of something, a sync encyclopedia. Would be nice.
I mean, separate to that, I also think, David, you should have a book writing up some of your best sync films and like explaining what happens, because that's a way you could actually market the work you've done.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not going to violate a copyright to write about it.
No, definitely not. Yeah, no, I have some plans. I have things going on at this moment that I have episodes going to be released coming up that focus heavily on my sync film work. But yeah, having a concordance would be really helpful. I mean, as we're talking, I'm thinking like the date thing that you do, I do the equivalent of, like, where I'm like, I have steps for how I'm looking at resonance between album and film. So like if I see an album and a film came out the same day, or two films came out the same day, or whatever, I look to see, well, is there more correspondence than just that they came out the same day? So that becomes a starting point for me, just in the process of looking for resonance. So like Dunkirk and Lana Del Rey's Lust for Life, like those are released the same day and year. And then if you listen to the album, it has this kind of like For the Boys kind of, you know, I don't know, there's like that thing where women would you know, perform for soldiers, you know, where you know, like you see this even talking about Apocalypse Now, where they have the Playboy event or something. There'd be like, you know, I forget what's her name, the singer and actress who's in she's in For the Boys, but she's also like the Rose. What's her Bette Midler? You know, she was in a movie about that. You know, but it's like I feel like that album is doing that. Like it feels like this is a For the Boys album. Like, you know, there's arguments for it all the way through the thing, and it's like that becomes like, it's not just that they're released the same day and year. It's the meaning of the thing. Like, how does this connect? And it's like, otherwise you'd be like, well, how does this album connect to Dunkirk? It actually makes perfect sense, you know.
Well, that's also like the most emotionally resonant moment in a Kubrick film too, right? The end of Paths to Glory, where his future wife is singing and they start catcalling her, and then start to really connect with her on another level, and everyone's crying. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the most important scenes of.
Yeah, then you watch that in the thing that's behind my head here, and it takes on a different
Dr. Strangelove, or
no, I mean in this array. All 12 films.
Okay, I see Paths of Glory in the upper right corner there.
These are just all Kubrick's movies. Here's Fear and Desire, Killer's Kiss, The Killing, Paths of Glory, Lolita. It's funny, there's 6 black and white and 6 color. Dr. Strangelove, blah blah blah.
I want to watch them all at the same time, just set up in that layout. Can we do that? I can do that. I'll do that.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Also,
but you can't really do that at all times. You kind of have to keep the audio on 1 or 2 or 3 at the same, but like mute the others and then kind of go back and forth. It's almost like piloting a ship.
DJ.
Just we're talking about Friends. Like somebody had taken every Friends episode of one season or something and played them all at the same time with overlay, and it just looked like this insane psychedelic freak out, and people referred to it as like moving through the Bardos or something. But they screwed it up, and you can tell that they're processing the way that they went about it. There is a way to do it even with low processing abilities if you don't have a computer that can handle. Like if I wanted to do all of this, as decent as my computer is, I couldn't do it at one time. I would have to do like maybe 4 at a time, if that, in sections, and then encode that, render and encode that, then take that film that has the rest blank, and then do the next set, and then do the next set, and that way it's a workaround for how much your thing can process. But whoever did that Friends overlay at the same time, you can tell that their computer processing the way that they did it couldn't really handle it. Why? Because obviously the song at the beginning should have been complete unison, and it's not. It should have been that the beginning of that, you know, said life was gonna be this way, blah blah. Like that should have all been simultaneous, and then it goes into insanity. And because it doesn't do that, it's just like whatever. They weren't able to process it truly to be true to what it was. Yeah,
it's too bad, because if they did that, obviously it's because the teaser would be a different length, right? So if you watched it the way you're talking, aligning it to the song, then it would start with just one episode, and then another one would bleed in, and then suddenly it'd come back to clarity on the song, and then it's just chaos after that.
Why are they different lengths? What are you saying?
Well, obviously, if they aligned them all together and the song didn't kick in at the same time, it's because the beginning part, because those episodes would start with something else, right? Those old sitcoms, before it would jump into the theme song. So what you're usually, yeah.
I don't know if that's true for Friends. I didn't really watch Friends, so I don't know. So pretty sure, yeah. They had like an intro part before the song came on.
So that's why it wouldn't have aligned. But you could have aligned it, like you're saying, just the
in that way. Yeah.
So the beginning would just be one episode, and then another one would bleed in, and another one would bleed in, and then you'd get to the song, which would have been more interesting, actually. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting.
So if there's also 12 Kubrick films, sorry.
What?
No, go ahead. It's something unrelated, really. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Well, I've been reading a lot about, thinking about Men in Black, the movie Men in Black, and it's a bizarre thing, but apparently David Schwimmer was going to be the Will Smith character. Like, he was offered that role, and he turned it down.
Best decision he ever made in his life. I mean,
I think it's like the best thing
for the filmmakers. No one would be able to take him seriously after that.
Good for the filmmakers, really, like, because that would not have worked.
No.
But that's just funny because honestly, I can't even talk.
But didn't Will Smith turn down the role of Neo in The Matrix? So I guess
it all comes around, and goes around. But anyway, what you're saying about Kubrick?
Oh, well, just if there's 12 movies, it's impossible for me to not want to go around the Zodiac with them, which you can kind of do. I haven't done the deep work with it, but like, you start out in Aries with a war film, with Fear and Desire. And then in the second one, Taurus, Killer's Kiss. I mean, I've only seen that once. I really need to actually watch all these movies again. But Killer's Kiss could align with Taurus somehow. Then you get to Gemini with The Killing, and you're playing with time. You're breaking up time, which is a very Gemini thing. Into
right, although that's not how Kubrick had it. That was a studio, and that's a weird one because it feels to me.
What?
It wasn't Kubrick didn't want to do that. The studio did that with the way that they did. They cut that movie apart with the timing thing. What they did, that was that from what I read, that was actually a studio decision that Kubrick was against, and he lost the battle with the studio. Like they had, like there was some other, because it feels like the original Pulp Fiction, right? It feels like the way that they do that is like totally part of it. And I was really confused by that because I was like, really, you'd think it would be the opposite, like. Well, it seems like that's exactly what Kubrick would have wanted, but I guess
that's what makes the movie legendary too. Is the playing with time is why people remember it. But then what happened with Lolita to me, I think was a big mistake. Like, I don't like that it opens on the ending, and I don't know if that was Kubrick's decision or if that was also a studio decision.
In that case, I think it was Kubrick's decision, and I think also Nabokov was involved in that whole process. Nabokov oversaw like a lot of the making of the Lolita film. That's the joke of when people want to insult it based on how it might differ from the novel. It's like, well, then take it up with the novelist himself because he was all up in it. So, you know. And Red Alert, and it's not like
for the record,
they had any part in Dr. Strangelove, but yeah.
My English teacher, who was a Nabokov scholar, a very smart guy, and who would be quick to make everything, was like, Kubrick understood Lolita perfectly. He understood everything. He was on the level of, so it's not just Kubrick fanboys that are going to say this.
Oh, for real. And you can tell people who haven't really read the book because like there's different parts like oh, Kubrick was so brilliant to put in that camp climax like as a joke. It's like that was Nabokov. That's the same. That's not Kubrick, like whatever.
So Lolita then aligns with Leo because you're looking at this young girl having to deal with the gaze of everyone else, having to be the Leonine queen, right?
That's how it translates in the progression.
Yeah,
you're just saying like in the yeah.
Right, so you can see how it aligns to Leo. There.
She's Lion. She's Sue Lion, dog.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, and then
Lion, of course.
And then Strange Love is Virgo, and all the codes and all the like minutia of how the rules are supposed to go and how it can break down is somewhat Virgoan anyways. You can make
Well, it makes sense too, just with the gestation, because the whole movie is about sexual frustration subliminally, according to Kubrick. So yeah, there you have it.
Well, yeah.
Our precious bodily fluids, Virgo.
Right.
Ooh.
Being concerned about the dirtiness of sex and everything is a Virgo trait, right? That's laced into it. And also, it's a double-bodied sign, so you've got Peter Sellers playing multiple roles. It fits as well.
True. Right.
And then what comes after that? You're covering it. I guess we don't use Spartacus, right?
I don't know. Do we? Why? Because it's a studio movie or what?
Well, he disowned it because he wasn't in control, right?
He wasn't in the level of control that he wanted. It still got Kubrick all up in it. It wouldn't have been
for
as
sure.
good as it was in the first place.
Worth watching, but he did disown it.
Directed the movie.
He did disown it.
Yeah, well, just because he didn't have the level of control that he's used to, it was a compromise just so he could do other things in the future and get that support, But yeah,
But I'm just wondering if Alex sees Frozen, but if Alex uses it as part of his 12, I don't think it's up there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this might be now that Andreas dropped out. If Alex doesn't pop back in here, is this going to be like? And then there were two. Is this the Little Indians? Is Andreas even? Where is he? He's just gone.
He said he got a jet. I don't think he's coming back.
Oh, he said he had a jet?
Yeah, in the chat.
Oh,
I wasn't going to mention it though because I thought there would be suspense. Maybe people will wait for Andreas.
Oh, I didn't see that in the chat. Okay.
Oh, wow. We lost Alex.
Far fucking out. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so let's keep going. You got after. So you're just. Why would you? Don't you need Spartacus for when you said the 12? Like,
well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So if we go from, where
we're skipping Day of the Fight, obviously. I guess that's a short film anyway.
Right.
We're also skipping the Sea. What's his first film called? The Seafarers.
Okay, I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's like a Navy type documentary thing that Kubrick did. I think that's actually technically his first project. So,
whoa,
Seafarers, yeah. But whatever, yeah. One could argue that that's well, you're looking at the Zodiac. Oftentimes, people will take the 10 main Kubrick films and apply it with the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, which is pretty cool, actually, if you think paths of glory, whereas glory is like actually like sometimes the way that Tiferet will be translated, you say beauty, glory, or is glory Netzach or something, I forget, but paths, you're talking about like the pathways, if you translate it that way. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe there could be an issue that if Andreas bounced and Alex was pushed out, if he tries to get back in and Andreas, who's hosting this, isn't there, he might not be able to add him back. So yeah, this is like fucking 10 Indians or however. How many Indians was it in the old movie? Do you know what I'm talking about?
10, yeah, it's 10.
It's 10 Indians. Yeah.
10
Indians, that's a good old film, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah.
I was just looking at the list, and yeah, I'm pretty sure Alex kicks out Spartacus from his 12 to get it down to 12. Because I'm just looking at his like background, and I was just looking at it. Yeah, it would bring us up to 13 from Fear and Desire, starting at Fear and Desire.
Right. So, well, then you got, since Spartacus can be Ophiuchus or something. I don't know.
Yeah, perfect. But it actually
it's on the ecliptic,
Yeah. So Dr. Strangelove would be Virgo, and then Space Odyssey is Libra. Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Can I just say that that's really interesting, the idea, the symbolism of leaving out Spartacus, because you have a street of crucifixes, right? Like, he's crucified. Like, that's the whole point. And we're all Spartacus. We're all on the cross. That's like the meaning. Right. That's why Spartacus is itself like a heavy duty Christian film, right? Mm-hmm. Because even though you don't have Jesus, you have all the people, the activists being crucified, and they're all Spartacus. So it's like, that's the idea of Christianity, right? Is that you eat of the flesh, you drink the blood, because we're all one. We're all on the cross, so to speak. So
Well,
Interesting.
what's interesting too is that it winds up being the midpoint of those 12 films. It comes right after the sixth, and it's the liminal film where he first uses color.
Right.
So
Somebody in the comments says, "Is that why he disowned it?" I guess he's saying because what I was just saying.
well,
But
the
yeah.
interview I'd read with him is the main issue was Spartacus and the slave army get to the coast and they have a ship and they're able to get away from Rome basically. And Spartacus decides to turn back because he wants to go to war. And that's really the crux of what Kubrick wanted to explore, more so than big military set pieces.
That's the deal. And you can see that with his vision for Napoleon too, where it's just like he's not interested in making a war epic. Why? Because there's enough war epics and other people will do war epics. And like that's not the type of film that he really wanted to make, you know. Even like A Space Odyssey is not a normal sci-fi movie. Like it's not supposed to be. Like that's like, you know, that's why you don't see the aliens. Like we're the aliens watching them in the, you know, watching Dave Bowman and the other side. Like the whole thing is meant to be meta. The idea of him turning back to do the thing, that's very like Socrates too, like right, like either leave Athens or drink the hemlock, and he's going to choose the hemlock. And that suicidal thrust speaks to his fascination with the Golden Bough as well, right? Like, you know, Golden Bough, the original publication of it had that whole, it had one main section, but it had other smaller things throughout that were related to the view of Christianity as having its roots in these pagan rituals. And so the Catholic Church came down on, you know, Cambridge, but like for allowing this book to be published. And so you have the very original publication, including all this stuff around Christianity as the scapegoat ritual, and then and connecting to having its roots in the Golden Bough. And then every set of copies for the longest time, for years and years and years, just had all of that removed for the most part, most of it removed. Because of the Catholic Church, not that dissimilar from what happened to Kubrick with Lolita, where tell him to let me in here. Alex is asking to be let back in. He's not here. That sucks, dude. I don't know where he went.
You're just gonna have to sidecar it in the messages, Alex.
I don't know how to contact Andreas. He had to bounce. So no. Oh man, you got locked out, bro.
Andreas is a wild boy. He's just out there swimming free.
Oh man. Okay. Well, shit. He should have. Oh yeah. No, it's like couldn't get somebody else to overlook his computer. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't know if he's hanging out with Brittany or what, but she could have. Yeah.
Well, that's and okay. So he's a Pisces, and our like zodiacal journey with Kubrick films ends with Eyes Wide Shut, which is about dreams, right? And Pisces relates very closely.
His dream story, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Pisces. Oh, that is a Piscean film, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
Fascinating. So I want to still go on. So what do we say came after Doctor Strange of 1963?
Yeah, we've been jumping all over the place. We actually skipped Cancer for what would Cancer have been after 2001? Oh, no, not 2001. Sorry, I gotta go back.
These in order
written
down. Yeah.
Fear and Desire. The Killing was Gemini, and then after The Killing is Paths of Glory, which is Cancer, which is interesting because Cancer is the most patriotic sign. Cancer relates to patriotism and the nation and the home and protecting the home. And so we've got a World War I film, and we're dealing with questions of what are we even doing, right? Are we even trying to protect the home right now? And then we did Leo, we did Virgo, and then we got Libra. Yep.
Do you think that, like, this has occurred to me before, so you have, I don't know, there's something about like it's Kirk Douglas, Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas, like as far as like the archetype casting goes, Like if you look at like, I don't know, Michael Douglas's career, I don't know, there's places you could go with it. I feel like I really wish Alex was here, because like there's correspondences here that exist between like I remember even there's something with the dates of disclosure, and like disclosure is an AI film, like the symbolism of that projecting into, like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm on a tangent. Go on. What is the progression with the signs corresponding to the films? What did we miss?
Space Odyssey becomes Libra then, which is a little bit confusing. That one I don't have a real strong theory for.
Space Odyssey is 68. There's nothing between Doctor Strangelove 63 and 68 from Kubrick?
Well,
long gaps.
Spartacus, which we're skipping, right?
Right. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
An interesting sort of side quest for that is that it was supposed to be going to Saturn, and Saturn exalts in Libra, so it's kind of interesting. Where the rest of it, I mean the two stars in Libra are the price that covers and the price that doesn't, basically. There's an interesting thing between the two main stars. What the northern star is considered more benefic, and the southern star is more malefic. So you could see some of the AI is the star that doesn't cover because he can't get there, you know.
Hey, if Andreas is doing another podcast right now, apparently he popped out of here to do another podcast, can somebody go into the comments of that podcast and say, hey, let Alex in on Synctank?
Do your job. Yes, please someone do it.
Yeah, weird. Okay. Yeah, so
the Space Odyssey thing's a little looser. I'd have to think about it more.
What did you just say it was? I'm sorry, you just said it.
It's a little looser for me.
Libra.
Well, the two stars and whether they balance and stuff. And I guess Dave Bowman. See, that's the thing. Bowman is Sagittarius, right? And he's aiming towards. The bow, the arrow in the Sagittarius constellation aims towards galactic center.
Right. And the tail of Scorpio aims towards the center as well, so to speak.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But there's something to it. I mean, obviously, like if I think of Libra, I'm thinking of Justice, or in Crowley's deck, Adjustment. And one could argue that the movie's starting out with the Dawn of Man, where you kind of are setting up, there's like basically an execution, right? And so like, and it's also like there's divine justice versus us trying to replicate divine justice in the world, and how flawed we are, and that our evolution is connected to our progression in that way. The Predator at the beginning, which, you know, shows he's there with the zebra, which he's killed, which has its own synchronistic significance, and Philip K. Dick and all that, with the zebra as a symbol for synchronicity. But that he's the threat to the apes, right? They have to hide at night in the cave type setting to, like, you know, protect themselves from this predator, which you see attacks one of the apes at one point. And it's like they're going to die off, they're going to be killed off. They have to learn to defend themselves against the predator. And even the way that it's shot, where you see the eyes are so emphasized of the wildcat, right? He becomes Hal for the next phase.
Yep.
So like Hal is the predator. AI becomes the predator in the same way that this wildcat was the predator for ancient man, right? So it's like, and then we have to defeat that and go beyond that predator. And how do we conquer the AI? It requires another phase of evolutionarily, like than just killing. Like we got that part where we learned to use tools to murder, and but yeah, it's like a justice system too, because you're like,
Giant gets on it.
How did you get in?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You made a request, but Alex was trying to get in but couldn't get in. I mean, I'm happy to see you. Don't get me wrong. Hello, Giant.
He found the back door.
Tell Alex he can probably get in, and someone let me in.
There it is. There it is.
So yeah, maybe somebody said I put it out there and put it in the comments of the other podcasts that
Ghostmaster
Andreas is cheating on us with.
Well, we were just.
Are you seeing another podcast, Andreas? I get the sense every time you show up after this, you're wearing some kind of perfume. I can't tell what it is. Is it Leo Zagami? What are you wearing? Yeah, anyway.
Well, so you nailed it then. The beginning of Space Odyssey is that there's a balance between the two tribes fighting over the water hole, and then that balance is changed, right? Suddenly the balance has been upended, and the rest of the movie is, like you said, AI becomes the threat, the weapon grows out of control, so another balance must be reached.
Yeah, Libra fits for 2001.
There's a lot of symmetry in that movie, and like in the designs and the framing and the like when they're the lip reading scene where they're kind of the two astronauts are balanced on top of Hal sort of visually.
Well, all throughout his films, he has the Masonic tracing board like encoded into it. That's kind of the thing. But yeah,
I think Space Odyssey is the movie where he got obsessed with symmetry in the first place, right? Like I feel like his earlier films, he doesn't use it quite as much.
Yeah,
not as much. You're right. Yeah.
So the next movie after would be Clockwork Orange for Scorpio, which is interesting. Which is like the
perfect.
Taking over.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
You don't get any better than that.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? I've been thinking a lot about A Clockwork Orange, the 666 thing. So somebody mentioned earlier that there's some code or something. You're talking about
when he goes into his bedroom, there's a close-up shot of his lock.
Oh, style. Yeah, his lock. Yeah.
6, which I was
okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, that makes sense if you read the canon from William Sterling as an explanation. But there's only one time in A Clockwork Orange when you actually see the sun. And it's when he meets up with his droogs when they're both police officers and they carry him to the water and they stick his head down there. But as they're approaching, you see the sun behind, and they even positioned it central to Alex. And then you have one police badge of one of his droogs says 665. The other one opposite, bookending him, says 667, implying Alex as 666 and in regards to 666 Sun Square and all of that. But then I was looking at the fact that, so what's another movie that's just fixated on 666 is The Ninth Gate, which has all of this resonance with Eyes Wide Shut. But how does Ninth Gate end with Emmanuel singer, however you say her name? What is it? Emmanuel Signer? Is it okay? See, I don't have French. I can't do it. But that Polanski's wife, so she's on top of Johnny Depp, as implying that he's the Beast and she is the Scarlet Woman. She's solidifying her identity as the Scarlet Woman from riding atop him. Clockwork Orange ends the exact same way. I was cured, all right, with the woman on top of him, implying he is the Beast, right? It's us. Why? Because it's the number of a man. It's in Hebrew. It's the gematria of a man in Hebrew. The exact phrasing, but the way that it gets used throughout the Bible in the Hebrew gematria is 666. So like that's why in the Greek of Revelation is pointing back at the Hebrew. It's not the only instance where it does that. Repeatedly, the book of Revelation lets you know that it knows the Hebrew gematria by making certain references, that being one of them. So I'm just saying, like, they share that resonance with like this character ends up culminating into this archetype of the Beast, right? So anyway, Giant, thoughts?
You guys don't want to hear my thoughts on 666.
I want to hear your thoughts. I've been liking your thoughts in the message board for Synctank. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I actually just watched Ninth Gate again. I haven't watched it for years since it first came out, but yeah, the 666 to me, I think is another one of those things where they're creating a lot of I don't know, negativity around symbology, because it's easy to deter people psychologically away from understanding it on a deeper level if they think that it's, somewhat scary. And obviously people like ourselves don't get scared easy, and so we always look into these things. But I think symbols like that are at a moment now in history where they need to be dug in a little bit deeper and not associated with maybe a beast, but I don't think the beast is something that is negative. You know what I mean? I think that we're all beasts, that it's the deeper level of it is that we are beastly in nature, because that's part of being in this existence, especially on Earth. But we want to get beautified. We kind of went into this a little bit about Beauty and the Beast. I did an episode with Andreas, where we dug into that a little bit. Is that I think that deeper level is that it is both the male character. He is Beauty and the Beast. She's Belle.
Oh, it's the two orders of the Sephiroth, right? You have the sustaining order of the Beast that belongs to the Empire, and then you have Beauty is Teferet. It's the Tree of Life versus the Tree of Knowledge. The Tree of Knowledge is embedded into the Tree of Life during the duration of the fall. We are the Beast in this phase of evolution. Just like we were looking at 2001: A Space Odyssey, the ape is the
King
Beast.
Kong too.
Even as we develop, King Kong is Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
and he dies at the tip of the phallus with the Empire. He's literally Empire state building. Malkuth translates as Empire, right? So it's Little the death. Kingdom. He's at the tip of the kingdom where he dies in climax, because this is speaking to the simian aspect of us, which we haven't completely evolved out of, which is why, like, so the Star Child at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey is like going past the 777 lightning flash into whatever that next phase is going to be, which we can only infer ultimately, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, and I just think there's a lot of that kept energy that it's something negative, and I think we're all finding out that it's actually a better thing than what has been attached to it for so many years.
That's kind of how I thought with my that with what I do with my number, the 5 seals is like 666 is one component of a larger system, and they're all kind of interrelated. So like 66 and 42, 666 and 42 are related, because 4 plus 2 is 6 for one thing, and also 666. So 6 weeks is 42 days. So 666 weeks is 42 times 111 days. And it's also, if you do 666 weeks, convert that to days, it's 46662 days. I think I'm getting that right.
It's also interesting that if 4 plus 2 equals 6, the midpoint of 4 and 2 is 3. So it's 3666, like 3 sixes.
And 6 is a fertility thing, right? So this is how I view it, is that some people think that this existence in being here is a trap and a prison and all this stuff, and then so they're going to see anything, really, whether they realize it or not. They think that everything that keeps fertility, that keeps things birthed here, is kind of like putting things into a prison, and it's torture. And so if you're looking through those eyes psychologically, then you're going to not like the fertility. You're not going to like 666. You're not going to like sixes. You're not going to like sex. You're going to think hex is like it's hurting you and all this stuff. But I just try to, in my viewpoint, I just try to look at it as like, hey, this is a gift to actually be in existence. We don't know if there's anything else than either being in existence or not in existence. And from this point of view, I'd rather be in existence, even though there's things that are torturous about being here. That it's, you have to have the black to the white. You have to have, your feelings hurt. You got to get crushed over things. There's very dangerous things that can happen. We have to watch all of the people around us die, or we have to die before them. Like, yeah, that stuff sucks. You know what I mean? But if you're only focused on the fact that some of these things, suck, then you're not focused on how beautiful it is to actually be given the opportunity to exist. And it just comes along with the fact that that is just totally necessary. I don't know that you guys can give me any argument you want in the world on how it is that we can get in existence without the opposite side. It just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? You have to have the duality of it. You can bring it into balance. You can make it more beautiful, right? You can turn that beastly thing into a more beautiful thing, but it's still going to be a beast in some way, no matter what. And that's what this existence is.
What's interesting about 666 is that it's the sum total of the Babylonian magic square for the sun. And the sun relates to the creative spirit and soul. So the interesting thing is, if 666 is the number of a man and it's being demonized, it's because independence and individuality is being demonized.
Right. Well, it's this stage of evolution. We are what we are. It's Popeye. But it's like as it stands, this is what we're dealing with. And so there's like this weird thing that happens with like the organized religion take on it is one of, like you say, demonized, but it's like, can you acknowledge what we're actually working with at this time? That's the weird thing about the Klipo, is that like nothing is actually closer to like what our experience is. You're saying anything that's outside of the emanated flow, like that's like every chemical and everything, we're everything that's influencing consciousness in any way whatsoever. That's what's weird sometimes about the treatment of demonology, because demonology treats it that, first of all, you're giving, like, you're anthropomorphizing any influence on consciousness, like you're giving it an identity, which is like, does it even deserve that? Like, because if it's just like this kind of twisted, you know, mirror of tetragrammaton that is not the thing in itself, it's just like imitating it, and that's just like its nature is to mimic. Kind of feel like Guillermo del Toro's film Mimic kind of speaks to like the Klipo in this way, because it's like, it's not the thing in itself, as Kant would say, like it's something outside of it. So why are we kind of like, we're giving it more power than maybe it deserves, but at the same time we're not acknowledging, when we do that thing with demonology that we do, we're not acknowledging that this is something that everybody is living with. Like our perceptions are all skewed. It's like there's that issue with hypnosis where there's like, if the more that one thinks that they're above being hypnotized, the arrogance or the or whatever, like when you say like you're not vulnerable to that, like you're actually more vulnerable in that, and you don't realize it. It's like everything is kind of a paradox in that way, because it's like if you acknowledge your susceptibility to hypnosis, that's like the first step to actually not being as susceptible to hypnosis. You know what I mean? Like if you're like, you think you're above it, watch how commercials and everything are actually subliminally influencing you, because you're not confronting your own susceptibility in a real way. It's like an aversion to that acknowledgement, which makes it more powerful. Yeah.
The more you ignore things because you fear that it might be true or whatever, it shows a sign of psychological unawareness, right? Like you're just trying to avoid it. And it's better to face all these things and look into them deeper and try to find that extra level. And I think as we go on, as generations go on, we have a duty to keep on digging deeper, even if it's at the cost of people thinking that you are, you know, opening yourself up to demons or whatever it is. Like we have to figure out this game and try to make it a better situation. If we keep on avoiding things because we're scared of it, or we think we're too good for it, or whatever it might be, then yeah, we're just setting ourselves up to be probably in a worse state, right? We're going to fail passing the test. And we should be worried more about passing the test. And you can, you know, I think gauge how to pass the test through like discernment, true discernment, by understanding that, okay, well, what is the best thing? Is the best thing always going to be the best thing that's for me? And then why would that make sense if it was always just me, that it made the best sense for me and me only, when I am not going to be here forever? I'm never going to be in a position that I can make everybody do what it is that I want them to do. So why would that make sense? It wouldn't. What would make sense is what makes sense for the collective as a whole, but over time, like all of history, everybody that's involved, right? Because if we are, you know, it's arguable, if we are the same thing split up in all these individuals, and we're mapping this place and we're trying to figure everything out and get it more detailed and stuff like that, then technically we all are, and we will be no matter what, whether we accept it or not. We're sacrifices for this thing to get more fine-tuned. And so if you think in that way, then you can probably get yourself to understand that it's like, okay, I need to do what's ultimately best, you know, for myself and my family, and then the people around me, and then, you know, as far out as I can project it. But don't fall in any traps where it's just thinking about myself, because that's fruitless. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be about the ultimate fertility of this thing. So it has these things that it's trying to do. It's trying to continue to be fruitful and have the fertility continue on, so that it can keep living out and learning things, and then leaving itself messages behind in hints and all that stuff. And then over time, as a collective, as humanity, we can put the pieces together and figure this thing out and make it better and better and better and more fine-tuned. And I think if people thought in that way, that, you know, we would have a better chance of getting to the solution, because it's like a big math problem that we're trying to get to the solution.
Absolutely. Like people's main criticisms that you see of like what you call like woke ideology are kind of like, they're like often the wrong criticisms. Because really, like if you look at like Einstein's communication around like expand, like what he considered the purpose of life is to like expand your identity to the point that more and more and more is included within your own identity. Whereas like the culture war like ideology from what we call whatever we could call wokeism is largely around isolation, because you're making it like you're basically compartmentalizing society in such a way that all these identities are at odds with all these other identities. It's like it's the antithesis of that communication of like, you know, to be inclusive. And this is why I would point out that like if you look at, you know, say what you will about Harvey Milk or whatever, but like the idea is that like the rainbow flag being lifted from the rainbow family, which is an extension of the Grateful Dead, it was that everybody's welcome, everybody's included. And then you had this symbolism be like, actually these colors represent these people, these colors represent these people, these, and like, and then it's these groups, and then anyone who's outside of that group is no longer included in what was supposed to be in this unifying symbol, when really it's we're unified against the other. And then you're like, and then it becomes a question of like, are you an other? You know, that's a Philip K. Dick idea too, of like the othering of the otherable. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like it always finds its ego finds a way in any system that's supposed to that starts out with a certain intention. And so unifying the people is like, obviously this is something that that there's powers that be to want to subvert that, because there's power in identifying with more and more, to incorporate more and more into your own identity. Like, can you identify with them? Can you identify with them? You know, like, can you identify with everybody ultimately, like in some way or another? Like, what is our commonality? Interestingly enough, it's often our differences that paradoxically unite us if you acknowledge those differences or you celebrate those differences. But what we're getting is to a place where, under the guise of unity, we're actually isolating further and further, which kind of ties it back to the way this conversation started with Leave the World Behind. Like even that title and what's implied in that film is all about isolation, you know, that there's safety in isolation, you know, which is not necessarily ultimately the case in reality. You know?
Yeah, because we are a fine-tuned clock. We are clockwork, and as you get any technology, it gets more and more defined or whatever, it gets smaller and smaller components and all this stuff. But what I think we lose in some of this individuation, even though we do play these individual parts, and some of us play different parts a lot better than others, and we're all supposed to be individuals, but at the same time realize that we are all really dependent on each other. Like we don't make the machine work unless we're all there, right? And it doesn't work properly unless we're all there. So we got to, at the same time, obviously, you know, love each other for all these individual efforts and abilities and talents that we all have, and the pieces that we play, but also realize that we need to make it all work together, and that we are doing that no matter what. Like you don't realize how much work is and effort and technology and planning and everything that's put into how your roads are made, and you know how every little aspect of your community is put together and all that stuff. And I think we lose a lot of that with all this, like, you know, they want us, I would say the negative force in this world that's necessary wants us to forget how dependent we are on each other, and how much, you know, effort is put into just the things that we take advantage of every day, you know.
Alex, what's Paku Paku, or am I pronouncing that right?
Oh yeah. Well, it's just guy said we're born hungry, and I was just thinking of Pac-Man, because that's what Paku Paku means. Is pack is what is it? Paku Paku, to eat. It's Japanese. To eat somehow.
What is that? Where Pac-Man? If it was Puck-Man, is that what's the deal? Like, tell me. Didn't Pac-Man come out like the day after The Shining came out, day and year?
Day
And
before.
both is running from the day before, running from ghosts in a maze.
But
so
also
the
eating
same
ghosts,
storyline.
so essentially becoming possessed.
Yeah, you eat the ghosts, and then there's a reversal. So that's kind of like Danny's.
The shining
reversal,
forwards and backwards too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bring
that too.
Enter
There's
John
like
Fell
an
Ryan.
inversion.
Well, if we're back into Kubrick, then we should jump from, because Shining is up, but we didn't go to Sagittarius, which is Barry Lyndon, and Sagittarius is like the ultimate adventurer, right? The ultimate, how far can you go? And he starts off riding a horse when he goes on his adventure. Starts off on the horse, mind you. It's in pretty deep ways not Sagittarian, because he's like he's not an honest person. You know, he's constantly playing games with people, and Sagittarius tends to want
Doesn't
the truth.
necessarily have to mean that Barry Lyndon himself is a Sagittarius, but that the meaning of the story is Sagittarian. Like, we haven't done that with the other films, where you're like, oh, is
That
this...
one actually came out in Sagittarius.
Oh yeah.
December,
that's a whole other thing we'll have to look into.
December 11th premiere.
Wow, interesting. Because then, what's that?
Oh, the 11 being a gateway, right? It's symbolic of a gateway. And obviously Sagittarius is the gateway too, right?
Yeah,
to
tying it to King Kong with the KK 1111, right?
Yeah.
It's the gate where we go back to heaven, right? Where we leave.
Yeah. Or the Christ comes, right? That if you're looking at the Egyptian, they believe that Kepra, right?
Right. You guys have seen Scott Onstott's video series, Secrets in Plain Sight? In that series, he shows that the Golden Gate Bridge is basically the gate of the sun. And then he had, the Lunar Gate too. Was that the Bay Bridge or something? He had basically was able to show how in the design of the city, they had incorporated various Egyptian examples of symbolism into these structures. He goes all over the whole city and is able to show how it's all got an Egyptian basis. But I thought that was really interesting, the gate of the sun and the gate of the moon. And I hadn't really heard that before. I'd heard the thing about the Ujat, that there's the eye of Thoth as well, which would be the lunar eye, and so there's a solar eye as Heliopolis or On, and then of Jabalon, of the Masonic Trinity. But then you have these these two sides. So then it has the argument for Thoth relating to the alphabet. That's why it's the Book of Thoth, because it's the original language, which is also mathematical. That there's this side of it that's the left mind, the left brain relates to language on this level of mathematics, and that the Ujat is speaking to the right brain in the way that they crisscross to the hemispheres. There's with the eyes, it's super trippy.
Yeah, the Golden Gate definitely is Egyptian, right? The Golden Gate and the Silver Gate are the way to get to, and obviously they put a whole pantheon of underworld characters, mythologies across the Milky Way, right? So I mean, it looks like once this lines up into a certain time period, that it opens and activates that gate, and then therefore you have this character, this Kepra, this Christ character, whatever, that can now navigate this Milky Way plane,
which was literally 2,000 years ago when the Milky Way aligned with the solstices.
Well, no, it does it now, right? Have you seen the information that I showed? It just clicked in. So now that the winter solstice is actually right there, it's clicked into Sagittarius and Scorpio, right in between, right over Fucus's foot. So we just you see information that says it was 2,000 years ago, or
something like that. Yeah, when it really aligned perfectly.
Isn't there an argument that the Sphinx is there to face Leo, but they built it long before that was the case, meaning that they knew that the future would align this way. So they weren't just hip to the current astrology, they were also hip to what astrology would look like in the future in its erection. I don't know. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they believe that there's certain time period, because the precession keeps on clicking, right? And so the zodiac is not the constellations. The zodiac is the stories that were also attached to the constellations at the time that these stories were written, right? But if you look at a lot of the different astrological information, they're they're saying, if you look at where the moon information and the stories behind the moon information, especially in the nakshatras, they're kind of showing you is when you have this nakshatra move over, or you have this zodiac sign move over and click into this place, that they believe there was something that was going to happen. And so that's a lot of the information that I'm trying to go over in some of the stuff we're doing, me and Xirtus, where it's now clicked into there. And so there's like the Mula Nakshatra is the root nakshatra of the tree of life, and it's also in Sagittarius. And so there's a very specific other nakshatra that's associated with her, and once that clicks in and they line up, then you're able to now go into the underworld and go up to the North Pole, because the Abhijit nakshatra is the nakshatra that's associated with Brahma, and it goes up to the North Pole, and they say that it's this like kind of like a coat hanger or whatever. They say that it comes down and it's the farthest nakshatra to the north. It hooks onto the north.
Are you speaking Sanskrit? Is that a Sanskrit term? What is that?
Yeah, lunar mansion. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So it's their lunar mansions, but they have these very intricate stories of what each one of those, they do match up to the way that the Western
right, because they have a lunar calendar, right? Vedic astrology is lunar.
Yeah, so
right?
the nakshatras are like the space of the moon moving one day. They move one day. Yeah. The amount of distance that the moon moves one day, and so it's taking that movement and it's going above and below the ecliptic to a certain extent, and talking about the stories of the stars in that one factor. And the most popular one is used from Spica. Spica is the star that is opposed to the beginning of the nakshatras, so that's how you process it. So, but you're right, yeah, because the Milky Way is a wide thing, and it is still within the solstitial alignment. But I'm trying to remember what it was that was aligned perfectly like 2,000 years ago, because there was a text I was reading about that, and it's something else where it was all aligning. But what's interesting is that the galactic center is within Mula, which is the root chakra. So did these people know about galactic center? Because there's a lot of indications in mythology that they knew about it. It's not visible. You know,
I would actually say that there's a stronger argument that they knew about the galactic center than that the Dogon actually knew about Sirius. Like, because if you go into the details of that, it becomes a little questionable if this guy wasn't just like projecting this into having an extrapolation that was not necessarily justified. Whereas in this case, you can find plenty of instances where the galactic center, like,
because if you dig into these Vedic texts, like they're talking about, they're like, people know about the ages, right? But they have larger ages too. They have all these layers, and they start to closely align with actually orbiting the
25,000 years or whatever it is.
Crazy.
So it's like, totally.
Well, 25,000 years is just the Earth spinning. It's the Earth's precession.
But in turn, I was just referencing that as a grand cycle. That ancient people were we have indication that they were aware of it.
Right, people know about that, and that's not even in question. Like all the ancient cultures that had astrology all knew about the precession of the equinoxes. But like Vedic texts have cycles that are hundreds of millions of years old, and they start to align with these bigger cycles of the sun actually orbiting the galaxy. Like, it's insane. Like, they knew all kinds of stuff that we don't believe they would have any way to know.
We don't have Andreas here to give us all our plugs and to wrap up the show, so we are at the 2-hour mark. I don't know.
Okay, well, can we quickly, because I feel like it's cruel that we didn't finish the Zodiac with Kubrick films. Quickly do that. I'd be so annoyed if I was watching this.
Let's do it.
So Capricorn then becomes The Shining. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right?
The devil.
Yeah, and the Saturn thing, that makes total sense, right? Yeah. Didn't mean they ate each other up. Yeah,
totally. And also, excellent. And also,
it's the Christmas season. I mean, it's the Christmas season, so that's when the end of The Shining happens, basically.
Right. And Capricorn is very much into lineages and history, and you've got lineages of reincarnating souls within this hotel that's built on an Indian burial ground.
Dude, the fact that The Shining lands with Capricorn feels like it validates pursuing this, like applying these at all. Like, if applying the Zodiac, the Kubrick films, since it lands that way, I'm like, okay, You sold me. I got it. All right.
Well, there's a lot more work to be done there, but I do need to rewatch all the films.
I missed the conversation earlier. Maybe you were.
Oh, he's breaking up again.
Oh, you're frozen.
You need help with your internet, Alex. Pray to
I was gonna
Mercury.
say,
I don't
and
know
then the
why.
brightest shining thing in our Milky Way is the center too. So you know, it kind of
Right,
goes with
right.
Yeah.
Totally. In
Am I
Nietzsche's The
back?
Birth of Tragedy, he says that. Oh, what's that?
Yeah, you're back. Kind of.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, no, not.
Yeah, you're back.
You're here.
You're back.
Talk. Try.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, like you maybe I talking about Sparta.
He was asking about Sparta. You're breaking up.
All right, I'm just gonna. I gotta get out of here and eat.
I guess that it's that time. Can we?
You
can
got to go
plug
to
anything
Crypto
somehow?
K though. Go to his Substack. Got to go to Alex's
Yeah.
Substack and check out what he's got there.
Yeah. Look him up on Twitter under Kubrick. What is it? Crypto Kubrology. But yeah.
Oh well,
Yeah,
that's too bad.
You can pick it from there.
What were you gonna say?
All
David?
right. What's that?
I think you were gonna say something. a second there.
Probably.
Well,
Yeah.
just to finish up, we already talked about Eyes Wide Shut a bit, but also with Full Metal Jacket, you get Aquarius, which is Saturn ruled, right? Traditionally, not Uranus, Saturn ruled, and so
Yeah.
you have these people trying to have their individuality beat out to become part of the collective. And Aquarius has a very collective. It's about what's good for the whole community, right? What's good for everyone, and it becomes this tension between what's good for the individual versus the collective.
Kind of like what we were talking about. Now we're in the age of Aquarius, right? So,
But depending on how you count it, but it's a lot of
Yeah,
different
yeah.
ways to look at it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's a very hard one to really nail down. I think we've always been on the cusp, and we might not be fully completely in it, but I think we're either getting close or we just clicked into it.
One
That's
of
my
the
guess.
well, like the sun, if you look at where it crosses the ecliptic, is still in Pisces. Like it's still something like 300 years in Pisces. But there's someone else making an argument that it's actually about heliacal rising, which is always more important than where the planets actually were, right? In most cultures.
Mhm.
And so Aquarius had a heliacal rising, something like in 1500s. So right before the Enlightenment and everything, which makes perfect sense. So to me, it's like a vague, nebulous, misty thing of hundreds and hundreds of years.
It's a puzzle. Yeah, it's a puzzle to be put together still and get into all the details and everything. I would say I'm convinced that we clicked into it recently. I don't have an exact time that I would like nail it down to for sure, but I think we can consider ourselves safe that it started at least since the internet kind of age happened. That's how I would mark it. And then if you were to look at the astrological stuff, there's a lot that can be kind of put on the table and then sorted through. So maybe one of these future episodes we can kind of, maybe go over that stuff. That would be interesting. See if we can prove it, right? Which would be hard to do, but
Yeah, it's a project.
yeah.
These things are bigger than one human life, right? One human life aligns with 1 degree of the zodiac, 72
Yeah.
years that it will
Yeah.
that the stars will shift in 1 degree. So
Yeah.
these are cycles which are you need 30 lives to live.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no,
Unless-
I think it's just we have a lot of good data and we can probably do a pretty good guess at it. You know what I mean? I think you're really knowledgeable and I have some interesting insights. So, maybe together.
It's a community project for sure. No one human being is going to be able to make those answers,
Exactly. Yeah.
cultural
It'll take a lot.
Yeah, if you guys got something you want to plug, I think now would be a good time to direct
the funny
people.
thing is, this isn't even going to end. This is just going to be like blank screen for however many until Andreas can come in and actually stop it.
Or whoever let us in. Yeah, I don't know who let us in.
Someone go tell Andreas it's time to turn
Andreas
us off.
let you guys in.
Oh, he said let me know to end it by waving. All waving. Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
Take your time.
Yeah, I've got a Patreon page. Come check me out there, Facing North Astrology. Sign up. If you want me to do some astrological work, I'll do it at tier 2 and 3. I'll answer a horary question at tier 1. And I'm almost done my big epic essay on the astrology of Philip K. Dick, which is going to be on my Facing North Astro blogspot.com within a week, probably, maybe less.
Nice, cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very
Giant, you got someplace
We're
your social
gonna,
media
me and,
maybe?
no, me and Andreas are going to be on Divulgence podcast here in about an hour and a half. So I'll
Oh,
plug
cool.
that. Yeah, if you guys want to head over there and check it out, I think Andreas streams it on his channel too. So you guys can probably
Nice.
watch it on either one. But other than that, nope. I just try to jump on and talk with you guys every once in a while. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you can find me on X at mkultrasound723. You can go to thesyncbook.com and go to videos, and you'll see a image of Dorothy with a single beam turning into a rainbow, and you click on that, and you'll get over 200 videos of album sync film pairings. And if you go to my highlights on that X page too, it'll take you to other films, many of which are not on that website, many that are on that website aren't on X. But yeah, anyway, you get the idea. So thank you. And you guys are awesome. Hopefully both of you can come on again soon. It'd be nice, Giant, to have you on more than just like the final stretch of the episode, but to have you on for the full thing sometime soon. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll try to join as much as I can. It was awesome, guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, I guess we have to wave.
Good day, sir. Please. Thank you. Bye.
Andreas, we're waving.
Bye,
All
Andreas. Hello, Andreas. Goodbye, Andreas.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Hello. Welcome to the Xirtus.